Hello and good morning, everybody. Hey, thank you so much for being part of this webinar. My name's Richard Keeves, and welcome to this, excuse me, this concise webinar. First, Nicole, please say hello to the
Sorry, ladies first. Thank you. Good morning.
Ladies
This is going to be exciting talking about Klaviyo. So thanks for inviting us on.
Yeah, pleasure. Thank you for being here. And Paul?
Yeah, hi everybody. Thanks for coming on and listening in. Yeah, look, we're just going to be going over some of the settings for Klaviyo and some of the more important aspects of how to target customers and the best way to go about that.
Yeah, thanks, Paul. And I'd just also like to stress that Paul is actually a certified Klaviyo product specialist, so he has he knows his stuff. Klaviyo is one of the tools we use. It's not the only tool, but where it's appropriate, it's pretty good. Just a quick message about Concise Webinars. These are set up to be, for those people who are new and haven't been to one of our webinars before, these are intended to be 100% educational. We try not to waffle. These are concise, and also these are not sales pitches. This is, as I'm going to mention a little in a minute, this is about education. So if you're going to use a tool, know what it does, learn how to use it properly. And also, these sessions are being recorded. You can watch this later as well as now if you want. If you get interrupted halfway through, you can come back to the video. It'll be on YouTube and in our YouTube channel and on the Concise website within the next 24 to 48 hours. If you've got any questions along the way, please put them into the chat box, and we'll also have an opportunity for Q&A at the end. So thanks everybody for being here. I do want to say Klaviyo is a tool that is becoming very popular, or a platform, I guess you'd call it. I think of it as a tool. And it is becoming popular. Concise Digital has become a Klaviyo partner. We are a Klaviyo advisor. This webinar, and in fact the way we work, we're not trying to sell Klaviyo to anybody. It is a good tool, but having said that, if it's right for you, then as I mentioned, put on this slide, we want to help people implement it properly and use it properly. If it's not right for you, then just don't use it. Use something else. But as we put on this slide, this is all about business. Your business is too important to get this stuff wrong. If you've got a tool like this and are not using it properly, then that's just a waste. And if this is not the right sort of thing for you, then just don't use it. Use something else that's a better fit for you. Okay, so with that non-sales pitch, please understand that's where we're coming from. This is about education. I'm now going to hand the talking stick over to Paul, who can run through more about Klaviyo. Paul, over to you.
Thanks, Richard. Thank you very much for that introduction. Yeah, look, Klaviyo's a unique set of software for email marketing. So it's basically algorithm based, and it collects data about your customers, and it also helps you reduce your marketing costs, because it prevents, or it helps you stop sending emails out to customers that are unengaged. And unengaged customers are usually the ones to unsubscribe and or put you in the spam bin or the spam folder. And what you want to do is create campaigns with Klaviyo with highly targeted messages, and use the Klaviyo automation systems and algorithm-based predictive information to target your customers and reduce your marketing costs. So I'll just move on to the next slide. Now look, it's basically e-commerce based only, so it only integrates with Shopify, WooCommerce, BigCommerce, and Magento. And there are some other integrations outside of the e-commerce sphere. It integrates with your CRM, help desk, loyalty, reward apps or plugins, your payment system, your point of sale, shipping, social, and a lot more. So it integrates quite well with Facebook as well. So it's primarily used as a way to highly target your messages to engaged customers on a granular basis. It's quite sophisticated in how you set up your segments, because you can actually target one person if you like, or you can target a group of people with similar interests. And if you are going to use Klaviyo, making sure you become proficient with creating segments is the whole basis of what Klaviyo is used for. It does have really good email templates that you can use, and it has a library of templates that you can use, or you can build your own. It has a really good library of sign-up forms that are pre-designed, and they have settings in there that are preset. So if you wanted to go into the library and set up an email flow or an email campaign, and you wanted to set up a specific sign-up form, which we'll speak about later, to engage, to create segments, Klaviyo is really, really good for that sort of thing. It's also based on creating engaging email sequences and flows. So in the library as well, there's a set flows. So there's a set abandoned cart, there's a set birthday flow. There's lots of different flows and campaigns that are preset that you can fine tune for your own business, but it's really easy to go in there once you know the software and start using the preset sequences, templates, and sign-up forms. And at the end of the day, when you've sort of been sending out email campaigns and you've got email sequences running, the data that's collected from user behavior on the e-commerce site flows into the analytics of Klaviyo. So you can actually see the analytics of, say, Shopify and your email marketing side by side in the reporting. And it's great to build a picture of your customer journey through all the data that you've been able to gather with the analytics. And it's important to know what your customer journey is as well. So if you're building a custom, you're planning on sort of knowing how to build a customer journey, Klaviyo can help you do that, because it just gathers so much data about your customers and how they're using your website and their purchase behavior. So you can send different messages to individual customers or groups. As I said, I'll go more into that with the segmentation. And it's all based on search behavior, purchase behavior, and the level of engagement. And better targeting does mean more sales. It's like with digital marketing, it's very important to have a highly targeted campaign, whether it's SEO, Google Ads, or your email marketing. The more targeted it is, the more profitable it will be, and the return on investment will be much better. So how does Klaviyo work? So it pulls user behavior from e-commerce sites. So the information, it's purchase information. It can be different ways of gathering information, like the way they're traveling around the website, using the website. But it's mainly how they're using the site, their engagement. You can narrow it down to 30-day engagement, 90-day engagement, 60-day engagement, or unengaged customers. And as I said, it's all based on how you segment all your customers and how you're going to build your return on investment based on the segmentation. It uses data to help businesses understand the customer journey. As I said, the customer journey is important. Every customer can be segmented into different groups based on their user behavior. Help create highly targeted, automated, personalized messages. That's important, and we'll go into that with a client that Nicole will go through, because some of the messages for this client was not great. We changed the messaging on the templates, and it actually really improved the return rate for abandoned carts and other email flows that we had going. An automated customer journey, such as a welcome email sequence, can continue for a year or longer. So it's important to know your customer journey. Some customer journeys might be 12 months, some might be 6 months, some might be 2 years. So the data that you do gather from the analytics is important, because you can go back and then you can get build profiles of different customers and what their customer journeys are, and email market to them based on their purchase behavior. So one of the things that Klaviyo is really good for is building properties. There's a list of standard properties in Klaviyo. So, you know, like first name, the title of the person if they were working for an organization, the location or postcode of where they are living, and the product purchase. They're just some of the tagging or the properties. You can also build custom properties to segment user behavior on other campaigns. So a custom property could be the color of a t-shirt that they bought, and then you can remarket to them or provide email marketing with related products that match the t-shirt that that person bought, or another item of clothing. So you can do any type of custom property based on your customer's purchase behavior.
Paul, just as another point, just to explain that a little bit more, to add to that a little, just as an example there, when you say about the t-shirt, so as we know, like with a fashion shop, for example, if you know someone's favorite color is green or red or whatever it might be, you can then start, and they've just bought something that's, let's say, red, then you can start feeding them other clothes, other bits of clothing that they may want to buy that's also red, that exact same tone of red. And so that kind of ability to target like that is just amazing.
Yes, it is. It's the targeting is very granular. As I said, that's the best way. I mean, like, you don't want to send unengaged customers email messages that is not relevant to what they want. So that customer knows they bought a blue t-shirt, they know the company, and when you send them an email that, say, you know, matches, look, we've got these shorts that go with that t-shirt, for example, I'm just bringing up an example, or something related, it shows that, you know, you're sending them messages that they want to read, plus you're actually creating a segment of people that are engaged, and you can sort of create profiles for one segment, profiles for another segment. So people that, you might have a man that bought the blue t-shirt, you might have a woman that bought a skirt of some color, and then you can segment them into these different groups quite easily. It only takes a matter of minutes really to create a segment, and then you can send them specific email messages based on their purchase behavior.
Yeah, the potential for that sort of thing is almost unlimited. Anyway, we can talk about that later. But no, when you know someone's favorite color, like we just had a house done up, right? And the color of the front door, it was turquoise, a specific color of turquoise. And my wife was going nuts trying to buy anything else that was in that same color. So she was fair game to buy turquoise things. So there you go. Yeah. Anyway, back to you, Paul.
But yeah, just following on from that too, when you create a segment, or when you want to create a segment, you can automate your segment. So build a segment based on purchase behavior or topics or, you know, interests of that customer. So when you're reading the analytics, you can find out, okay, that person liked the blue t-shirt, or that person purchased a certain product. You can actually send them out emails, because you know what they like, you know what their behavior is like. And this one, for example, you can see the check boxes down here. So the customer's got an option to either go for a 30% off sale if they want to, or they can check the box for new products once a week, or design ideas, etc. They might check them all, or they might just check one or two. But every time, so just say, for example, somebody checked design ideas, well, that will send that person into a segment of, okay, this is a customer that likes design ideas, so we'll only send them design idea email marketing material, because it's relevant. They're more likely to be reading it, opening it, and they're less likely to unsubscribe or mark it as spam. So the more relevant your email messaging is to your customers, the more likely, or the more less likely they are to unsubscribe, and that gives you a good deliverability record with Google or Microsoft, because what you want to try and avoid is getting a bad reputation on deliverability, because once you start getting a bad reputation, it's hard to pull back on that. And what will happen is, if you do get a bad reputation, all your emails will start going into spam. So you have to be very careful about who you're sending your emails to. You can't just do a blast of everybody like the good old days. Send out thousands of emails to one list. That's just not the way you do it anymore. You've got to segment, be very careful about your messaging, and be very careful about making sure that you're not sending information to unengaged customers. And I'll go through more of that a bit further down. But Klaviyo helps you do all that. And they've got some very good automations that sort of make it very easy for that to build that sort of a system up. And here's another idea of some web forms that you can create. It's a welcome email to the sock club. So what that one's doing, they're saying to somebody, okay, you like wacky socks, okay, or you like dress socks. So that the wacky socks people will go into one segment, the dress socks people will go into another segment, and then you can say, okay, the wacky socks people probably like wacky trousers, or they like wacky shirts too. So you're sending them separate emails to the person who likes dress socks, who might be a bit more conservative and might like a different style of clothing. And the second one's also, it's a sports store. So you've got coaches that are interested in one thing, athletes that are interested in another thing. So you can segment those two groups. And then you can also ask them, okay, do you want to get emails weekly, monthly, or sales only? So that's another sort of sub-segment that you can create with the different conditions. And then you're going really granular then, because you're fine-tuning what your customer likes and not what you want to do unknowingly without the analytics. There's another example of a web form, and I like this one because it's actually it's a maternity, or they're selling products for people that are expecting a baby. And you can also do this with birthdays. So when people are expecting a baby, say they've already bought something from you before, or they've come to the website, they've signed up, they can give their due date of when the baby's going to be born. They can provide information whether it's going to be a boy or a girl. And then you can create a series of emails or a campaign, because you know when the due date is. So you can send them an email 2 days before the birth date, or 1 month before the birth date, or a week after the birth date. There's lots of different options, and you know it's going to be a boy or a girl. So you can target those email messages based on whether it's a boy or a girl. People like getting a small gift. They probably be expecting it when they sign up to that. So that keeps their interest and keeps them engaged. And there's a lot of, there's some birthday templates set up in Klaviyo that help you just do that automatically. So it's already a flow, and all you do is set the dates and create the email with your own content that's based on your own brand and the message that you want to give out, and it's very much automated. Okay, so why use Klaviyo and when? So Klaviyo is basically e-commerce. It's based for e-commerce, so it's not really a platform if you're a service industry, like say a physiotherapy, or something that you're not actually selling products, you've got a service. It's really designed for selling products. It is a little bit more expensive, but the return on investment is what I look at with Klaviyo. And we're just touching here on the abandoned cart email sequence, because with Klaviyo, there's some automated flows in there, and the abandoned cart is one of them. And the abandoned cart, through the research they've done, is the highest revenue returning flow. So, and it's an easy one to set up as well. So if you wanted to start with Klaviyo and you just wanted to give it a go, I recommend getting your abandoned cart set up, a welcome email, and a win back, because they're already set up in there, ready to go. You just have to fine tune them with your own messages. So we'll be looking at abandoned carts a bit later on in this webinar as well, because one of our clients, we fixed up their abandoned cart and it went quite well for them. One of the things I wanted to look at too, or talk about, was the granular targeting. So just like Google Ads, the process with Google Ads is to granularly target all your customers so that you're not getting unwanted clicks and spending too much on your daily budget or your monthly budget. And Klaviyo is really the same theory. You need to use listen segments to build your email marketing on a granular level so that you're not getting people that don't want your emails. So just like unwanted clicks in Google Ads, you don't want people unsubscribing. You don't want people sending you into the spam folder. So it's basically build your segments, have as many segments as you can possibly have, and target or send email marketing out to your customers with personalized messages and content that's relevant to them. Just move on to the next slide. So why use Klaviyo and when? As I said, it's e-commerce stores only, so it only integrates with e-commerce. Sort of matching it up or versing MailChimp. MailChimp's very similar. It does similar things. MailChimp's not as good as Klaviyo with its automations, and there's been a bit of a falling out between MailChimp and Shopify. I've found it there's some integrations with MailChimp that aren't as good as MailChimp. There's some integrations with MailChimp that aren't as good as Klaviyo. The automations just aren't as great, and the targeting and creating segments is a bit more manual in MailChimp. But for small e-commerce sites, MailChimp's still good. If you've just only got one product or a few products, MailChimp's probably suitable. If you've got lots of products and you're really wanting to sell a lot of products online, I'd recommend Klaviyo over MailChimp, just for the fact that it's easy to use and it's more intuitive. Now, so segmentation. I will talk about segmentation quite a bit in this webinar, because it's once you use Klaviyo, you'll understand why it's so important. But here's some examples of segmentation. So you can segment engaged customers based on 30 days, 60 days, or 90 days. So they're your most engaged customers. Now you'll have unengaged customers, and you can create a segment that you put your unengaged customers in, so that when you send your email marketing in, you can create a condition where you're not sending to people that are unengaged, because there again, they will end up in the spam folder, or they may unsubscribe. You don't want that, so you don't want to send them specific email marketing to them. You can send to unengaged customers later on down the track, but that needs a special message for those people, just so that they're not going to unsubscribe. You may want to offer a discount or something to bring them back. You can segment to a VIP segment. You can have different ranges of VIP segments or members, special members. There's another segment for unengaged for over 3 months and unengaged over 1 year. So there's specific messages you need to send to the last two, so that they're not going to unsubscribe. So that's it about segmentation and Klaviyo. I mean, like I've talked about a lot about segmentation, but really it's the basis, just like Google AdWords. It's basically use your segments and your analytics to build your customer journey, to build your email flows and campaigns, and then you'll be much more successful.
Good stuff, Paul. Thank you. Nicole, do you want to run through the case study?
Sure. Thanks, Richard, and thanks, Paul. I even learned something. There's just so much to Klaviyo. It's good. It's very interesting. All right. So I've got a client. I can't tell you what they're called, but they sell fitness supplements online. So look, they weren't originally a client. They came to us. They were using another provider who set up their flows and various things and templates, and they didn't know whether they were really getting the benefit out of Klaviyo. So they just wanted an outside person to do a review or an audit, as we would call it. which is what we did. And we found that most of the flows were pretty good. So they had just very general things like the customer abandoned cart, lapsed customer win back emails, various things like that. So very standardized. So yeah, we did an audit and we made some recommendations and just said to the client, we can fix these, or we can help you with your provider to fix these. But they said, no, you just go ahead and do it. So that's what we did. So in the findings, so we found that some emails are probably really annoying, like what Paul was saying, if they're not engaged in various different things, or if the message is not personal to them, they would become annoying. So we sort of fixed all those up. Sequence timeframes were not really well thought out as well. So that was part of, I guess, the personalisation. So it's not just the message, but it's also the time frame around it. So many of the email templates weren't written well, like they would have images that didn't quite match up to what they were trying to say to the client, to the customer or potential customer. And yes, so basically there was no personalisation. The emails weren't engaging. They weren't inspirational. So the emails had very low open rates, and that's sort of how we determined by looking at the data. And yeah, so look, they were just unhelpful and irrelevant and weren't converting, which is not what you want. So we improved the sequence flows. We didn't have to do too much around that. It was more the email templates. We still had to do a bit of planning and make sure that that all works. It's a little bit like, I guess, writing a script for a movie and making sure that the words match up to I guess, the time in the movie and the imagery, So we also monitored it to improve the conversion. So we didn't want to just set it and leave. We also had authority from the client to kind of test and measure and just make sure that some of the fixes that we did were working. So we reduced the annoying spam. We did some new templates, and we added some code to the abandoned cart email. So like, for example, let's say the person might have been looking at a fat burner, for example, and then they've abandoned their cart for whatever reason. Could have been in the middle of making dinner, who knows. And then what was happening was the templates that were originally there were going back to the customer with an email, but they weren't relevant. They were showing another product, like something, I don't know, could have been testosterone pills. So we fixed all those up with just by having a little bit of code, so that, and that's how Paul was saying it's intuitive. We can add a little bit of code to the template to say, look, this person abandoned this product. We want to talk to them again about this product and see if we can get them to come back. And that's what we did, and we started to get results. So then we monitored those, and we saw that the revenue was starting to increase, which was good outcome. Look, we conducted the audit in November, so it's very recent, and we implemented the changes by the end of November so that we could start seeing some improvement in December. There could be some seasonality things to do with this customer, and particularly with any kind of business, I guess, in e-commerce, depending on what you're selling, with December having Christmas. But we did start to see some significant improvements in December. But I think for this customer, being in fitness supplements, what people are like on the 1st of January, they're setting their lists, they're going to lose weight or join the gym or whatever they're going to do. And so there was that element where we were getting a lot more traffic and we're seeing greater improvements. And at the end of the day, I always look at some very just concise data elements, but I think like the business owner, and I just want to see how much money am I making? How much is it improving? So when we report, we can give, and I can't show everybody the results and things due to confidentiality on this client, but basically when we analyse the data, we come back to them and we say these are some of the things that we've looked at and compared to. So for December, for example, we compared to November. So remember, we did the audit and everything. We were sitting in the old way that they had the system, and then we've started to look at the results from December to from November. And we saw the daily open rates increase by 9.7%. So everything started to go up. As you can see that I should probably have some green arrows, but even the daily revenue per recipient went up to by 33 cents, and the the average daily place order was starting to head up there. So by the time we got to January and we compared month on month, and I'm pretty sure, yeah, so this is from December. So in January, it increased dramatically. Again, could have been something a little bit to do with seasonality, but we had everything right in place, ready for that increase of traffic. And the daily open, I mean, that 51.6% is amazing. And then the daily revenue per recipient dramatically increased to $3.30. So however many orders, you times that, and very high increased revenue we saw in January, which was awesome.
Can I just add to that too, Nicole?
Sure.
This client was also doing Google Ads, and when you have an e-commerce site and you're doing Google Ads, and then your Google Ads just get better and better, that also filters down to your email marketing, because you're actually getting more people coming to the website. You're getting more people that are abandoning the cart, and they're making different purchases. They're signing up to the welcome email. So it kind of like creates a bit of a loop, a revenue loop, when you're combining the both together.
That's right. And they weren't originally doing Google Ads. They had tried it, but they had no success at that. But they let us have another go for them. And by generating the extra traffic and having the right planning in the background, that capturing the customers and talking to them, engaging with them, and obviously seeing an increase there. So that was good. Thanks, Paul. Did you want to take over from here?
Yeah, thanks, Nicole. Let's pass back to Paul to move on through.
Okay, so Klaviyo is a little bit more expensive than MailChimp. I just keep using MailChimp as an example, but to me they're all quite similar in cost. Klaviyo is a little bit dearer, but I find Klaviyo gives a better return on investment. And if you go to the Klaviyo site, they've actually got a return on investment calculator that you can use based on how many contacts you have, what industry you're in. So, I mean, that client that we were just talking about just previously, they've got about 1,000 contacts, and it's $30 US dollars a month. But her return, I had a look at that January return. She's only a small operator that's just really starting, and I think she just on her abandoned cart, she gained about $600, and there was another couple of flows where she gained about 150 out of the both. So just for a little small e-commerce operator, it's fine if you set it up properly. It does have, there's a little bit more of a setup cost, but the return on investments is much higher because it's so targeted. So yeah, look, a lot of people measure up all the monthly costs, but you really have to look at the return on investment for most of these things. So the current pricing, this is recent, Australian dollars too. So if you've got 500 contacts, it's roughly $30 Australian. Then it goes up to 41 for 1,000. So that was, I think that last contact had about 750, but she's sort of getting up to about 1,000 now. 2,000, and it goes up as you get up to 10,000. You really, it's not too bad. It's $207, and that's comparable. I think MailChimp's actually a bit more expensive at the 10,000 level, but as you get up to 50,000, it gets quite expensive. But you need to be looking at the returns. So if you had 50,000 contacts, you'd probably be getting a $20,000 return. I'm just pulling a figure out of the sky, but it's like anything with digital marketing. It's there's an investment cost, but there's also the prospect of what's the return on investment going to be. So that's what needs to be worked out. But Klaviyo makes it easier to build a good return on investment. Now, so the pros and cons, we'll go through those. So Klaviyo has great automations. They have predictive analytics too, so they can. They've got an algorithm-based software that they've built, and they can, if you've got customers coming on an annual basis, they can actually predict what they are going to do based on their purchase behaviour, their demographics, and you can target people based on predictive analytics. So the granular segmentation is fantastic. You can basically send an email out to one person based on their purchase behaviour because you know so much about them. It's very easy to use once you understand how to use it, how to build web forms. They've got great, easy to use web forms that are just, you know, once you know how to use it, you can probably build a web form in about 15 minutes, and a very effective one that links up to a segment. Predictive analytics, okay, I'll just jump the gun. I've already spoken about that. It's easy to process and gather user behavior and use that information to build new campaigns and email sequences. And it's affordable pricing at the start. So some of the cons are there is an integration. So it's basically an app that you have to integrate with your e-commerce store. So there may be development costs to set the app up unless you're a little bit good with the technical aspect and you can do it yourself. Email templates are a little bit more complex because you're creating dynamic products in there it's basically dynamic product block is targeted to an individual. So if they bought a blue t-shirt, like I said before, you can send them a dynamic piece of content that displays related products. So there's a little bit of sort of setting up and setting up a dynamic content block, but it's not that difficult once you've done it. When you set up a abandoned cart, Klaviyo does it for you automatically. It's already set for you. Reporting is a little bit hard to understand. I mean, like I like the visual reporting with graphs and tables. One of their reporting aspects is a CSV spreadsheet, which I don't like to send to clients because it can be a little bit complex. Lots of facts and figures and different aspects. So hopefully they will improve their reporting, but there's lots of different ways you can create reports. You can segment reports as well. So you can create a report just on, 30-day engaged customers and see how that campaign went, or 60-day. So Klaviyo does have SMS messaging, but it's currently not available in Australia, and I hope it does come to Australia because I've looked into the SMS messaging and it's very easy to set up with your web forms. What we have is may appear pricey as contact numbers grow. Yes, so which is good, which is why you want good return on investment. Yep. So I've spoken about that. Return on investment's something that you need to look at the end of the day.
Yeah, so thanks, Paul. That's a good wrap through. We've probably taken a little longer than what we had planned, but hopefully this has been of value to people. So thank you so much for sticking with it, everybody. Just a reminder, this is, whether you use Klaviyo or not is totally up to you. If it's right for you, then we want to help you use it properly and implement it properly, use it properly. So that's what today's session's been about. Let's now throw the floor open to Q&A if you've got any questions. Paul, one question about customer journey. You mentioned that the customer journey can be planned for, say, a year ahead. If somebody makes a purchase, makes a purchase or does something during the course of that welcome sequence, does it have branching to allow that journey to be varied so that you're not sending a standard sequence to somebody who's already moved on to a different aspect of that?
Yeah, look, there's lots of conditions that you can create in a sequence, or say, for example, a welcome email. So if you had a welcome email, you might be sending 12 email templates, one a month, over a period of 12 months. So if you've got a customer that is in the welcome email sequence and they're traveling through the flow, you can create a branch off that flow, and you can create a condition. Just say somebody's in the welcome email and they let me see for an example.
They do something. So the answer is yes. You can have branching, yeah. and so you don't send a standard sequence. I mean, with these days, there's nothing worse than getting something after you've already moved through an action that asks you to do the action you've just taken. That's a dumb thing. So no, that's good. Another question: roughly, what are the setup costs?
Setup costs. It's really the integration. If we have a developer set it up, it may take 2 hours. If you want to set up a flow, it basically depends on the business. I recommend, if it's a new business and it's a new domain and you're just getting into email marketing, you really have to warm the email. So I'd set up an email welcome flow, and that can range to about, I'm setting up for a client at the moment, so it's about $3,000 to set up a flow for 6 months. You can also, once you've got this flow set up, you can add templates in. So even though you've got a 6-month flow, and just say you're on a tight budget and you say, okay, I only want to do a 6-month flow, later on you can start adding templates into the flow and start building it into a 12-month flow.
Yeah.
Or you can duplicate that flow and make it into something else if you want to.
Okay, so you just mentioned a number of $3,000. So with Concise, that kind of works out to sort of 25 to 30 hours to do a really complicated flow. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, that's right. That's a different template. That's branded design with a copywriter who's written the copy.
Yeah, so it's not just so it's the whole thing. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Well, that's yeah. I mean, but as you say, or as you said during the presentation, there is stuff that comes standard with it that people can set up themselves. So it's more about when you want to customize, and it's all horses for courses, depending on the viability of it.
If I can just, sorry, if I can interrupt on that too. Just with like my client with the audit, that was only a couple of hours, so $200. And then the fixes that we did, I think we spent about 4 hours. So their investment was, that's about $600 from the beginning. So, and then we increased in January exponentially beyond that. The return on investment was definitely
okay.
And I recommend if you want to start up, I recommend get the abandoned cart going, because that's going to bring you instant revenue. And it basically starts paying for itself just on the abandoned cart.
Okay. If there are any other questions coming through, please put them into the chat box. Otherwise, we'll wrap up now, and you're very welcome to ask questions later, of course. So in the absence of other questions, thank you very much, Paul. That's a really good run through. And Nicole, thank you for sharing the case study. If you want any help or information on any of this stuff, please let us know. And again, this has been a Concise webinar. Hope you've enjoyed it, and see you next time, or talk with you next time. Thanks, everybody.
Thank
Goodbye.
you.
Have a lovely day.
Bye.